We're going to pick up on the Atlas lathe again. I'm going to see if I can't get some of this stripped out, maybe powder coated today. Anyway, this is our countershaft assembly from the back. I'm going to go ahead and pull the countershaft unit itself out of here, and then we'll go ahead and just disassemble this countershaft completely. Part of it we're going to sandblast and then powder coat gray. Part of it we're just going to strip the paint off of them and re-blue when I blue next time. Okay, on this upper shaft assembly, Atlas has two steel wear plates that are put at one on either side, and that rides against the eccentric down underneath. They're installed with a drive rivet on each side. We're going to go ahead and knock those out. Well, we got our components all apart. The 3/8 shafts that held these together were actually peened on each end. So what I ended up and did is I just took a cut-off wheel and cut the ends of them off where it was mushroomed out, and I'll just replace those shafts. You know, the castings were much more important to me than two pieces of 3/8 shafting, which is, I'm sure, just a cold rolled steel when they built them. The castings are all stripped down. The one that holds the countershaft assembly in real good shape. I don't see a problem at all with it. We'll sandblast it off and it'll be ready to powder coat. I don't see any excessive wear. I don't see any damage to them at all, so that'll get sandblasted off. The motor mount, I'm going to go ahead. The next thing I will do is cut and drill my 1/4 inch plate to go on the bottom. I went ahead and stripped the wiring off of this motor so it got a little bit easier to work with. But this will mount. This is our outboard side here. This is our outboard side. We'll just take a piece inch plating and extend it out to cover the ends of the motor. All right, here's our vertical countershaft assembly. We've got it powder coated up. The pivots that the countershaft assembly bracket and the motor mount assembly go on were steel peened in place. I just turned two new ones out of stainless steel. They're a good friction fit. We've got our motor mount bracket here, and it will get assembled to this right here. And this is our shorter pin. Should slide right into place. I may very well peen those in place later if it tends to be a problem with them walking out. Either that or else we can I can go ahead and just cut a couple little circlip and put E-clips on the inside of there. These will mount in position here. course, we blued up all these parts just because I thought they'd look a little bit nicer. We went through and ran a tap through all our threaded holes on this assembly just so they went together nice and smooth. There's the motor mount portion of it. Set that aside. And we've got our countershaft assembly. There again, we've cleaned these holes up. We've already threaded our adjustment screws on there, or adjustment nuts onto the screws, and cleaned up those holes. I won't worry about tightening them in very far until we get the countershaft cleaned up and it ready to go back on. And we've got our two little wear plates that go on, set in position right there, one on either side, and they're held in place by dry rivets. Motor back in place, just like that. And we can assemble this to there. The assembly goes right there. Pivot goes in right on the top. So there's that assembly ready to be set in place. Sets on right there. There we go. There we go. So there's that assembly. Countershaft will set in there. Verticals here. Motor mount. We built us a nice little plate to go on to mount our motor on. We'll set on there just like that. We've got a little bit of adjustment room here if we need it to adjust the way our motor sits. There we go. That'll take care of that. We haven't cleaned up this motor yet, but it will set right there, just like that. We'll go back and clean this motor up, get the wiring straightened around, and we'll get our countershaft cleaned up next and put back in place. Then we can figure out what we need for belts. We've got our handle that we'll mount here. One of the things we have to build is the adapter that goes over there. It's pinned in place, and this adjusts our tension, or releases the tension. And that's pretty much it. We're going to move the whole thing over and set it in place where it's going to go. Then we'll continue rebuilding the countershaft and get that in place and figure out our wiring. If you find these videos helpful, you might hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up if you like them. If you hit the bell notification, you'll know when I turn out a new video. And we're also loading these videos to our website at hillsgun.com. And leave any comments, suggestions you've got for me below. Thanks for taking the time to watch.